Good evening, everybody. Good day. Hope everybody's doing well. Happy 2022, everybody. Happy New Year. Hope your 2020 is awesome, just as much as I hope my own 2020 is to be. But here, as we head into the new decade, into the new year, as it is, we're heading into the playoffs of the 2019 NFL season, heading into the wild card weekend. We have all the teams set up, teams with byes, teams playing this upcoming weekend with the wild card matchups, and otherwise, some head coaches already being relieved of their duties, and one situation in particular in Dallas, unknown yet, of where that may crumble or not in regards to Jason Garrett. But before we talk about anything NFL, we talk about all 32. Let's bring in our co-host of the most. Let's bring in Ross. Ross, hope your holidays have been awesome, and I know, unfortunately, your Cowboys are not going to be in the playoffs, but welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. Good holiday break, good New Year's break, and I'm excited for the playoffs, even though my Cowboys aren't in it. It makes for a more stress-free viewing experience, but obviously it won't be as exciting since your team isn't in it. But I'm still looking forward to it regardless. It's the last 30, 31 days of football left, so but the best is still ahead of us, I think. So I'm ready to watch and talk and just watch the playoff football. Nothing like it in sports.
That's true. Whether your team's in it or your team's not, like my team last year, we weren't in it. We didn't really deserve to be anyways, but we weren't in it either. And watching the playoffs was kind of weird in a sense, but also relaxing in the other sense. We don't have to care too much. I mean, I had teams that I was rooting for in each game, or who I wanted to win in each division, the Super Bowl, blah blah blah. But not the added worry of your team final drive playoff game, whether wild card or otherwise. Not having that added stress, less stress, just the fun of it all, wanting chaos, wanting everything and mostly being upsets. Wanting that because you don't care because your team's not in it. You know, have all the road teams win all the time. But either way, let's go over week 17 that was in the NFL. First off, the Packers defeating the Lions by 23 to 20. The Jets over the Bills, 13-6. The Dolphins stunning the Patriots, 27-24. The Bears beat the Vikings in a meaningless game for either. Bears 21, Vikings 19. The Chiefs defeating the Chargers, 31-21. The Bengals beat the Browns by 10, and the Browns are still the Browns, and they never changed. And unfortunately, also hasn't changed as they are letting go of their head coach. So, time for a new one to come in. Saints and the Panthers. Saints demolished Carolina, 42-10. Falcons over the Buccaneers, 28-22. Where after the game, Jameis Winston shares that if he didn't have interceptions, he would be the best in the game at quarterback. Yeah, maybe by numbers, but not in general. But I do have faith in Jameis, and I do hope he stays in Tampa Bay. But either way, unfortunate in regards to how the season went for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jaguars over the Colts, 38-20. I guess it took Tom Coughlin to get his butt booted out of there for the Jaguars to play free and relaxed and win a game there with week 17 defeating the Colts. The Eagles defeat the Giants 34-17. It was closer. It was a close game for most of the time. I know Cowboys fans were enjoying how close it actually was, and then the Eagles,
Yep,
just decided to dash those hopes away and taking a barely and getting the win there, 34-17. The Rams over the Cardinals, 31-24. I do see upside in Arizona moving forward. I do see some growth there. And they could be the diamond in the rough next season, coming out of nowhere. Kind of like the 49ers this season, in a way. The Ravens over the Steelers, even with backups, 28-10 in that matchup. The Titans over the Texans to earn their playoff spot, 35-14. The Denver Broncos defeat the Oakland Raiders at home 16-15. And the Dallas Cowboys demolish, destroy, sledgehammer the Washington team 47-16. I guess they wanted to play hard to try to save their coach's job, but we'll see if that effort was enough. The 49ers over the Seahawks on Sunday Night Football on NBC 26-21. I know I, as a Packer fan, was rooting hard for Seattle and Russell Wilson, which for me isn't too hard to root for Russell because I did what he played for, the Wisconsin Badgers. So Seahawks, though, taking the L 26-21 in Marshawn Lynch's first game back with the Seattle Seahawks. So I know Ross was piping up a little bit there, so I'm going to give the floor to Ross to speak his mind on your thoughts of the week that was overall, week 17, and then specifically, of course, with your franchise, the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, this is a weird Sunday for me because I was watching a little bit like around 2 o'clock Eastern, so like an hour into the games, and then I went to see Star Wars, so I was just completely out of the NFL loop, and I come back out of Star Wars, and I see that the Dolphins beat the Patriots. Like, what kind of insanity that is? The Patriots were like 17-point favorites and they lost outright in a game they really needed to win, which that was completely bizarre. And then, yeah, like you mentioned, I was keeping up with the Giants-Eagles game, and I saw the highlight, Saquon Barkley just running like 60 yards for a touchdown. And I was like, that tied the game up at 17. It was like I think it was like midway through the third, end of the third, something like that. I was like, hey, Giants have a legit shot now. They can actually beat Philly. Dallas at the time was like 2 touchdowns up on Washington. So I wasn't worried about that game. It's like, oh, crap. And then the Giants just don't score for the rest of the game, which is lovely, and ended any hope of a playoff spot. So, just regarding Dallas, good effort. I can't be mad. I get an opportunity to put up 47 points on the Redskins, even if they are, just completely out of it and not really playing for anything. It's still always nice considering I live in the area and I know a lot of Redskins fans. So, going 2-0 against them, you gotta love it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say regarding the football side. End of this 49ers Seahawks game was insane, though. I love watching that. Again, I was rooting for the Seahawks as well. I like Wilson as well, but yeah, crazy week. Did not expect this many fireworks, but yeah, it was a very entertaining week for sure.
Yeah, I certainly enjoyed all of the games. Miami getting the win over New England was surprising and crazy. I talked about, as I said earlier, with Tampa Bay, and what I thought their season was going to be, stuff like that. So, all that, and how I hope that Tampa Bay, the future can be able to be of what I thought they were a couple years ago. Be that surprise team, make the playoffs, do something of a consequence in the playoffs. I talked about how I feel Arizona being there on diamond in the rough and be able to grow and progress as a franchise, and how unfortunate it is with Cleveland and how those expectations were so high, and I as one as well in the first episode of the season here in the podcast, Talking Packers with Steve. I predicted Cleveland to win their division and lose like only 5 games or something. So I think it was. So, I was one of them. So it's unfortunate that Cleveland did not live up to the expectations of me and others that believed in the pieces that they had, believed in the bravado of their quarterback, let alone the bravado of their new head coach. But yeah, that in its own right is unfortunate, with Cleveland and their situation. But all in all, a highly competitive and interesting week 17, and now we head into the playoffs. Before we predict those few games we have coming up this weekend, since your team, being out of the playoffs in general, you have now that we have the actual playoff teams, you have a new Super Bowl prediction?
Like in regards to maybe a team that I'm pulling for or something like that.
Yeah, you want or predict or see being playing in the Super Bowl.
That's a tough question. I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't mind seeing Seattle in there. I've got nothing against the Seahawks. Same with the Saints as well. I mean, Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, two of my favorite quarterbacks to watch. Um, and then on the AFC side, I think I would lean toward Baltimore. My brother's a Ravens fan, and just watching Lamar Jackson play this season has been great. It's a new flavor of offense that the Ravens bring, and their defense is as solid as ever. So yeah, I think if I had to pick a number one though, it would probably be New Orleans, just because Drew Brees, he's probably my favorite quarterback remaining in the playoffs. So if you force me to pick one, I'll go New Orleans.
Okay. Yeah. You can pick however you feel. You don't have to abide by any rules, but yeah, no, that's fine. Now, I heard my other friends in the sports football talking community here on YouTube and otherwise that I know through Twitter, bring that up as much as you just did here on air about Drew Brees and about how to them their top two or top quarterback in the NFL and everything, and how he got snubbed from the NFL 100 team and not one of the 10 best quarterbacks to be selected there. Aaron Rodgers wasn't either. Neither was Bart Starr. He didn't have all three Green Bay Packers like I might have wanted or thought deserved. Bart Starr running in a sense with the Packers back in his day, winning championships and then Super Bowls when the Super Bowl was created, and won the first NFL team to win two in a row. It's the Green Bay Packers and Bart Starr as their quarterback. Then Brett Favre in his time, but he made the roster, which is awesome. And then Aaron Rodgers being one of the greats. But anyways, my point of saying all this is, what are your thoughts on that in regards to Drew Brees or Troy Aikman not being selected for that high honor?
It was weird. I didn't really follow the top 100 all that much, but one of the comments that I did see regarding it is that, like, I guess not necessarily being quarterback, but looking at the team right now, and a lot of those guys are new-ish, but one of the complaints I saw is that a lot of the selections were from like 1950s and before then. Like I'm looking at the defensive ends right now, and there's one, two, three of them that are 1950s and after, and then there's Deacon Jones, 1961 is when he started. Just like a lot of older players, and like obviously like the skill level between somebody from 1950 and like 2010, it's night and day. I guess with quarterbacks specifically, since that was your question, like it's such a tough list. Like I'm just looking at it now. It's Sammy Bob, Tom Brady, Elway, Favre, Otto Graham, Peyton Manning, Marino, Montana, Staubach, and Unitas. Like that's a really, really tough list to crack, even for somebody like Drew Brees, who I think, he'd be like number 11 or number 12, I think, if they expanded it a little bit more. I'm not too well versed in NFL history, but like if I had to take one out, it would probably be Sammy Baugh, even though I wouldn't have a good argument for it. Maybe it's because he was a Redskin and I'm biased against the Skins, but yeah, I don't have too much of an issue with it. I mean, it's just like a for fun type of thing. Like I don't know, but yeah, I guess I don't really have too much else to say about it. I mean, everybody has their own subjective list, and in the end, that should be what counts. Like this NFL 100 list, it's not like the definitive list, and you can't argue against it. It's all just for fun, and if people disagree with it, it makes for a fun debate, I suppose, as long as it's like friendly and there's no name calling and anything like that. But,
right? Yeah. Definitely respectful. Like I always say here on the show, even if we disagree about something, whether you and me or someone in the comments section below or otherwise, it makes for a respectful debate. And that's the point of lists, right? That's why a lot of YouTubers or broadcasters or shows with their high production value do lists, do top tens, heck, WWE used to have on their back in the day, I think it was only like 8 years ago, but still back in the day, they always had a monthly top 10 or show called Top Tens, top 10 wrestlers of a decade, or moves or tag teams. It's always subjective. It is whatever you personally think. But that's the point. It gets people talking. Like, why is this person out? How dare you put this person so low? If it was a top 10, did blah blah blah, stuff like that. So that's why YouTubers is like an easy go to pump up videos that are top tens. Because they do want to share their opinion, which I'm not saying this to discredit them. I respect it. They're sharing their opinion, okay. But I also see the other side of it is it'll get people talking, then this and that. So I understand that. Like for me, in my personal opinion, in regards to the top 10, I would have had 2 Packers in there, but not all 3. I think I would have had Bart Starr and Brett. I think Aaron would have been out. And I would have put more stronger consideration for Aikman, Young, not Breeze, but Eli Manning, and some others. So like mine would have been a different set of circumstances. And I get your point in regards to older or players from the 40s or the 20s or the long ago. That's where there barely is footage on them, because I did watch one of their shows on YouTube, one of their episodes that they had on YouTube of it, where Bill Belichick is breaking down a play from a player from way back in the day. So, which, side note, talking about Bill Belichick, actually on television, talking of substance, unlike of what he would in his press conference. But he is very knowledgeable. So it's one of those, I see that because he's a smart SOB, but also on the other side is, I'm surprised you'd be okay to be on a show like that you have to do that sort of thing, because that's the point of, you being there. You're, as a coach, or representing that. So that was actually kind of cool to see him kind of out of his element, in a sense of where, he's just used to answer quick to the core, quick to the vest, barely anything, move on sort of thing, where he actually kind of opened up, and we kind of saw a real Bill Belichick in a sense, or the actual coach Belichick, of how we know how great he is, and how he also respects the history of the game, this and that. So that little side nugget of him being on the show, beyond, whoever made the list, there on the on the roster. Now, in regards to this coaching carousel, whether Dallas decides to relieve Jason of his duties or not, who do you think are the top free agent coaches out there that you think should be in consideration for any of the coaching openings that are or could be open in the NFL?
It's I'm not terribly big on I guess coaches. I don't know, like I'm not an X's and O's person. Like I'm not good at like critiquing coaches, but like I follow the Cowboys reporters, and I guess the 2 names that are at the top of like I guess the fan consensus list are Urban Meyer and Lincoln Riley. Obviously he's from Oklahoma, I think, and then Urban Meyer's been out of college football for a year. He was at Florida and like Ohio State and whatnot. Like I couldn't tell you like what either of them are good. I guess Lincoln Riley's good at offense since he's coached a couple of good quarterbacks in college, but like really just like regarding the coaching situation in general, I prefer an offensive minded head coach, because that's the way the NFL is going nowadays, and you don't see like the likes of Rob and Rex Ryan, the defensive minded guys. They're obviously still out there. Bill Belichick is a defensive coach, but he's the uber exception to like what you would want. I would not want to see Garrett back. Nothing against, like I told you, nothing against him personally. Like everything I've heard, he's like an amazing person, but he's just not a good football coach in my opinion. And I think somebody else could come in and take the talent that Dallas has and make them like Super Bowl potential. Because I think over this decade, even with Tony Romo, like Dallas has been winning in spite of Jason Garrett. Their talent has been so great that they've been able to overcome, not the greatest coach. And so I think if you have the right coach coaching like a super talented team, like that's when you can make something special. But Dallas just hasn't had that in Jason Garrett, even with uber talented rosters, even with Tony Romo having an MVP year back in 2014. It was 2014. When that was they got ended by the Dez catch no catch. That's what sent him packing in the playoffs. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Like, nothing against Garrett, he's a great guy, but I'd prefer to see somebody else back next year. And then one other thing I wanted to mention is that it's like taking a little while. We expected him to be kind of fired on Monday or even Tuesday, but the one thing that I've heard is that like the longer this takes, like the more likely like something weird is going to happen. Like either Garrett comes back or like Dallas signs a head coach and then moves Garrett to be like a quarterback's coach or OC or something weird like that.
That would be weird.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The longer it takes, the more likely it is that something weird is going to happen. Because if they were just going to fire Garrett, like if their decision was if we miss the playoffs, he's gone, like that should have happened 2 days ago. But nothing's happened yet, even despite multiple meetings going on. So I'm worried that it's taking a while. I'm worried that like he could be more likely to stay. He could sign an extension tomorrow, and it could happen. But yeah, that's the one thing it's taking a while, and that's what's worrying me a little bit. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on it.
So you think, in your opinion as a Cowboy fan, that you think it would be best for business for Dallas to relieve him and just out the door sort of thing than any demoting him to a positional coach?
Yeah, I would rather see him just completely gone because that would be so weird. Like if he came back as like the quarterbacks coach, because like he's been the guy for the past 10 years, and all of a sudden he's not even the OC, he's the quarterbacks coach. So I think that would just be a little weird to have that dynamic in the building, and you have like if Lincoln Riley comes, he's a young guy, and he's now the big man on the campus, new Cowboys head coach. And you've got Jason Garrett just kind of in the shadows, kind of hanging out. And that would just be weird. So it would make more sense maybe if like Urban Meyer, an experienced head coach, came in. Like it would make a little bit more sense, but it would still be super weird and awkward and all that.
Yeah, and if I was Jason Garrett, I wouldn't want that either. I would either want an extension to continue to be your head coach, or peace out, I gotta go, and I'm gonna look for a new job, sort of thing. As a head coach, because I would believe in myself that I can be a head coach, no matter what the fans think or what Dallas is thinking. In my heart of hearts or in my head, as he should, right? Whether or not we as fans or we as broadcasters here or journalists feel that way in our own opinions, right? But as Jason Garrett, I'm in this kind of thinking. I would think that, hey, I believe I have more to give. I believe that I'm a competent head coach. I believe if I give him the right chance and situation, blah, 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 that I would be best for your franchise and this and that. So, and I don't think he, like the little I know from him or interaction, from press conferences I've seen or privy to or whatever, national ones of Jason, that he would definitely be that way, and I don't think that he would want to stay and accept a demotion kind of position. I think he would say, if you want to sign me to an extension, I would be happy to do so and continue to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, or relieve me of my duties as soon as possible so I can venture and look for a new place to be a head coach. So hopefully that's the case. What I also was going to bring up, we kind of talked about this in the pregame chats in the pre-show meeting. in regards to the time. Like for me, the longer it takes, the more that it's just going to mean his contract is going to run out here on January 14th, I think it is.
Yes, 14.
Yeah, 14th, where it just runs out. So they don't have to fire him. The contract just runs out, and the team and Jason have just decided to part ways. I'm sure they would still do a press conference, but maybe not. And you just go out quietly because of the fact that with Jason Garrett and in fact with the Joneses and Jerry Jones. And what I'm worried about is whoever's going to be, if there is a next, or when there is going to be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, how much power will the head coach actually have, where you know that you have Jerry Jones, always over your shoulder. That's what Jerry Jones likes. He likes having the power, in a sense, or most sense. So even if a Lincoln Riley or Urban Meyer want to come to Dallas, would they be okay with almost sharing duties in regards to that because of Jerry Jones' involvement all the time? So it's unfortunate, but it seems like Jerry just wants to find a head coach that is there visually, but he's the one pulling the strings as a puppet master. So, I think that's why I worked for 10 years with Jason Garrett, because Garrett would just do whatever told, which I guess in the end is a good positive characteristic as a person, but as a head coach, gonna have more gall and stones than that. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that in regard to Jerry Jones or in regards to Jason?
One thing you said, like how like they may just let the contract expire. Well, another thing that I saw online is that would be really unfair to Garrett if Jerry did that, because like these coaching openings, whether it be head coach, OC, coordinator, another coordinator spot, whatever, like those spots are getting filled. Like Ron Rivera's reportedly in agreement with Washington. Like the Giants position is open and Garrett's been linked to that job. So like the longer it takes, like if Garrett gets fired like 5 days from now or something, like that would be unfair to him because these job openings are going to close rather quickly. So it wouldn't be fair to like have like Garrett like wait out his contract, fire him next week, and then then Garrett's kind of left out to dry without a good opportunity to find new work. So that was one interesting nugget that I read online. So yeah, that's that's pretty much all I had to say on Garrett. That was the only other thing I wanted to say.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. I just I agree in that sense in a way, in regards to, if Jerry Jones wants to do the respectful thing, since, he has respect for him, knows in most of his life or coaching life, with Jason Garrett, that would be the respectful business thing to do. Is if you're not planning to keep him, you're not planning to re-sign him, you are planning to let the contract run out, if you want to do it in that sneakersy kind of way, that you should just let him go like yesterday sort of thing, and let him
exactly
do these other jobs, like, let him do that, as you said, I propose. So I think that would be best for Jason Garrett, be best for Jones and the Dallas Cowboys and for the Paynes and everybody else and stuff like that. So I think that would be great, and hopefully we do get that news. Also, what I'm hoping to get news of, I want to see that bulletin. I want to see that breaking news on SportsCenter. See that in my news feed. See that in all the text that I get from ESPN. Breaking news: Mike McCarthy is a head coach in the NFL again. Think he deserves another chance. I hope he gets it in Carolina or Cleveland. Either way, I don't care where. I don't care if he's the final coach hired at the final position open, just like how I was hoping, and maybe not praying, but hoping, when Bruce Arians got that final coaching opening, whatever year that was, when the Arizona Cardinals had an opening, and he was the final one, because Arizona was the final team to pick a coach out of that carousel that off season. And Bruce Arians, I was like, give this man a chance. Give him a gosh darn chance to be a head coach. I think he can thrive. He has the stone and gall to do so. He did well as the interim head coach at Indianapolis with that situation there. And I think he earned his stripes. So Arizona agreed with me, and gave him that chance. So I'll always remember that. So I hope to always remember with Mike McCarthy, whether it's a success or not with the team, whatever team. I hope he is, whether the final one or one of coaches in this due process of the off season for the other teams, hope landing a head coach spot, because I do think Mike was kind of wronged in Green Bay. Let's just say. And hopefully he gets another chance wherever to shine and prove himself. And that's what we got. So that's what I'm hoping to hear and find out here in the future about him. But let's move on to the fantabulous wildcard round. The Saturday games that are coming up here fast, of course, they're going to be with the AFC, and Sunday will be the NFC because the NFC is better, so they get Sundays. No, it's just how it is. But anyways, the first game we have is the Buffalo Bills versus the Houston Texans. Ross, how do you see this matchup going with the Bills team? That ain't the team to mess with. Going up against the Houston Texan team with J.J. Watt making a return.
Yeah, it was kind of surprising to see over the holiday break that J.J. Watt was going to be back for the playoffs. It's kind of crazy considering he had his surgery was it 2.5 months ago or whatnot, and he'll be back. So I don't think he'll be at 100%, but I mean him back out there at 80%, like defensive linemen would kill to have that kind of talent. So it's certainly a factor. Another factor I think is probably one of my highest is how healthy Will Fuller is. He's the second wide receiver behind Hopkins for Houston. And the splits with Watson when Fuller plays and doesn't play, it's really, really drastic. Like they score like 5 extra points per game. No, that's not right. No, I don't have that. I'm looking at fantasy stats. Sorry. But like Deshaun Watson, he throws almost one more touchdown per game with Fuller than without. His completion percentage is better. He throws fewer interceptions, more passing yards per attempt, which is a big stat, almost 1.5 more yards per attempt. So if Will Fuller can play, I mean that if Hopkins gets covered by Tre'Davious White, like that's gonna be a big battle. But then if Fuller can go up against the number 2 corner and have a really good game, I think that bodes really well for the Texans. Both these teams rested guys last week, so don't really have any issues there. So in the end, I think I'll lean to Houston because Fuller is expected to be back. But if he's not 100%, like if he's only like 70%, because he's a speedster, that's how he makes his money. So if Fuller isn't 100%, it wouldn't shock me at all to see Buffalo win this game. But I think I'll lean slightly to the Texans because they're getting Watt back, probably getting Fuller back, and they're at home in a dome, which I always like. So I'll take the Texans here.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go with the Buffalo Bills. I'm gonna go with the Buffalo Bills to get the win and to move on in the playoffs. I have the Buffalo Bills defeating the Houston Texans 26-20 and getting the win. I just see the Buffalo Bills as a better team overall. Offensive defensively, but more so with the defense. But I trust in Buffalo's offense to be able to do enough. Their defense, though, to be the key to the game, to be their MVP of the game in a sense. Maybe a pick 6 or 2, but still Buffalo's offense to be able to do enough to have that one great drive. Right, you just need one sometimes to win. So I do have Buffalo over Houston 26-20. They're getting the win. Moving right along to Is that correct? Do I see the Patriots in the wild card round? All right. We got the Tennessee Titans against the New England Patriots. Hey, Patriots, welcome to the wild card. Do you remember what this looks like? Like, welcome. It's like uncharted territory for Patriots fans. I know it's gonna be weird to watch your team play a week early, not able to rest, not having but having a home game, or number one seed in the AFC, and all has to go through New England. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Okay, you'll survive. Okay, we got the New England after I wanted to, relax Patriots fans because I know some out there, Malik, Billy, others, that you'll be just fine. No need to go crazy. No need to throwing shit. You need to just relax, breathe in and out. Yep, do it with me. Thank you. Because you guys are still the Patriots, and you guys are going to steamroll. I mean, steamroll, sledgehammer, and destroy the Tennessee Titans. So you can literally call it a bye week if you want, though you're still playing. So call it a tune-up game. Call it whatever you want. I'm predicting the New England Patriots over the Tennessee Titans, 42-16 at home. Titans, I'm sorry. But as Vince McMahon would say, you've got no chance in heck. But yeah, you are. You're up against a machine that's too strong. You're up against the Patriots. So sorry, not sorry. Patriots over Titans with that score. Patriots hit up 42 on them, and that's how I see it. I don't know, Ross. Hey, Ross might believe in your team more. Titans fans, you might say Titans win by 3. I don't know. Let's hear from Ross. What do you say is going to be happening in New England?
You'll have to make sure that the Patriots, they have their alarm set. I know this is a night game, but maybe they'll go out to dinner around 6 and be, oh crap, we have a game tonight. This isn't our norm. But yeah, it's crazy to see them on Wild Card Weekend. I mean, just the way they lost the Dolphins game to be relegated back to the 3 seed was so crazy. But here we are in this matchup. I think I'm going to lean to the Patriots. This is Ryan Tannehill's first playoff start, and it's going to be at 8:15 on Saturday. So that's a bit worrisome because the Titans have been so good with him as the quarterback, and we know that Belichick likes to take away an offense's best weapon, and that's Derrick Henry, the running back. So if Stephon Gilmore covers AJ Brown one-on-one, that probably will go Gilmore's way because he's the best corner in the NFL. They're playing one-on-one, and if Belichick stacks the box, somebody else on the offense is going to have to step up outside of Henry and AJ Brown. And I don't know who that is. It may be Corey Davis, who I picked in fantasy this year, and he really burned me. It could be tight end Jonnu Smith, but like Jonnu Smith in the playoffs, being the hero, maybe it happens. Crazy things happen, but it just doesn't sound right. So, and yeah, it's going to be a really ugly game, I think. Really low scoring. The total is 44 points. It says, each team's going to be around the 20s, which I don't know if both teams will get 20. So I think it's going to be a low scoring, kind of ugly football game, defensive oriented. But I think the Patriots will do just enough, as they usually do, to get the win.
Yeah, I might have to send some alarm clock like text messages or tweets.
Yeah.
Patriot fans remember that, hey, you're actually playing. But anyways, let's move right along. We got the NFC side of things on Sunday. The first game is going to be at 12:05 Central. 12:05 Central with the Minnesota Vikings against the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. Now, I will say this. If the matchups were different, right? Like if the matchups were different in the NFC for this wild card, if we had the Vikings, Eagles, Seahawks, Saints, I think that would be more entertaining of football. Closer games, last-second miracles, or just wins. Vikings would have a better chance to move on in the first round for first off. And then for the Eagles, not for the Eagles, I mean for the Seattle Seahawks, I think they also would have a better shot. So both road teams would have a better shot if they were facing the other team on the road still. It'd still be on the road. But my point is that for both these games, it's going to be interesting to see how the road teams do. But starting off with the Minnesota Vikings facing off against the Saints, I'll let Ross go first here. How do you see this first NFC wildcard game going?
Yeah, shouldn't be much surprise. I like the Saints here. Just one factor that sticks out to me is that last year the issue for the Saints down the stretch was their offense. Drew Brees and the offense just wasn't clicking like they were earlier in the year. But I think that's going to be different this year because Brees got hurt earlier in the year. It was a thumb injury, so it's not like a knee or an elbow. It was his thumb injury. And so that sidelined him for like 6 or 7 weeks. And he wasn't taking hits for 6 or 7 weeks. And now he's fresh. He's like playing oh gosh, his mental math, like, I don't know, game number 11 or 12 or whatever it is. And so he's going to be fresh for these next couple of games. And the same kind of logic applied to back when Tom Brady got suspended for Deflategate. He was suspended for the first 4 games. And so he wasn't taking hits for a month. And then he came back and the Patriots ended up winning the Super Bowl that year. So I think the Saints offense is going to roll. Obviously, I love the Dome. It's the number 1 home field advantage in football, in my opinion. The Dome's going to be loud. It's going to, I think, disrupt Kirk Cousins and the offense. That it just hasn't all happened at the same time. Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen. It just all hasn't clicked this year, and it needs to click this week or else they're out, and I don't think it will. So I think the Saints are going to roll here.
Yeah, I got the Saints here as well. Differences, I don't see it really rolling. Kind of how we had differences with the Patriot game. We both went Patriots, but one closer than the other. But I don't see the Saints rolling. But I do see the Saints winning and beat the Vikings. Maybe pulling out a win. Maybe making it look like more of a rout than actually was. Meaning they'll pull away at the fourth quarter with a big, win by big, the difference margin. But still a close game. Minnesota was actually in it type of thing. I have it Saints over the Vikings 26-17, getting the win, but a close game to the end, fighting it, scratching and clawing, as the Minnesota Vikings do, and I have respect for them as a division rival fan. So yeah, I'm going with the New Orleans Saints as well. The final game of Wild Card Weekend, that will be on Sunday, 3:40 p.m. Central, kickoff start. The Seattle Seahawks facing up against the Philadelphia Eagles because reasons. Because the Philadelphia Eagles are division champions, so they do deserve, or I guess in a way deserve, to have a home game. But still, we have Seahawks against the Eagles. I'm going to go first. And I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. With the Seattle Seahawks to get the win. You have Marshawn Lynch back. You have a great receiver core running. So you have a running game. You have a quarterback that you can depend on, more so than the other one. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks over the Eagles, getting the win on the road, 20-13. There, 20-13. Seattle over Philadelphia. What say you? How do you see this final wild card game of the weekend going there in Philadelphia?
So I'm going to make just a clarification here. I am clearly going to be rooting for Seattle in this game, but I think that Philadelphia pulls off the upset here. And it's based on one main factor, and that's time. So, like, the Eagles wide receivers and the running backs, they all got injured like around the same time. It was like 3 to 4 weeks ago when all of them just, like, I don't know what happened. Maybe it was the food that they were eating and caused them to all get injured or whatever it was. It was like 3 to 4 weeks ago, and like the Eagles really struggled for the next 2 weeks, but despite that, they still beat, it was the Redskins and the Giants those 2 weeks. They, scraped by, but they still got the win. And then they outright upset Dallas, and then they score 34 points against the Giants, and now they're in the playoffs. And what that does is there's more chemistry now, and they actually know each other's names and faces, maybe, as opposed to a month ago. And I think that really matters. And I think the Eagles might be undervalued a bit here, because, Wentz is kind of crazy. He's actually mini tangent. He's playing his first playoff game. He's going to be starting, which is kind of crazy to think about. But it's been Nick Foles for the past 2 years. But Wentz is going to make his first start. I think he's going to be extremely motivated. And I think the matchup is really good. I'm not a huge fan of Seattle's defense. I think that it's clearly the weak part of their team, and I think Philly's offense is going to be good enough to score some points. And I mean, Philly's defense, it always shows up when it matters. They're so good on defense, and I think they might slow Seattle down just enough to win. So I kind of like Philly here to pull off the upset, but I will definitely not be rooting for them on Sunday.
Understood. Understood completely in that regard. And then how things are going to be for the next week for the divisional round. The Saturday first game will be the 49ers against whoever they would face. Then it'll be the Ravens against whoever they would face. Then on Sunday, we'll start off with the Chiefs and their opponent. And then the weekend ends with the Packers. So it starts with the NFC, ends with the NFC, ends with the Packers up against whoever they need to face there for the divisional round. Their game then Sunday night, 5:40 p.m. Central start on the 12th. So either way, it's going to be a fun double weekend as the playoffs always are, I guess I would say, even though this is the playoffs now, I don't do with the helmets anymore, but I will share my game of the week. But let's go to Ross. What game do you say with these 4 games for the wild card weekend that is upcoming would be your game of the week?
I think it's going to be Seattle, Philly. I kind of touched on the reasons why. I mean, obviously, I hate the Eagles, so I'm going to watch that game and hope that they lose. And I like Wilson. I like the Seahawks just as a team. I'm a big fan of Marshawn Lynch as well, and I'm glad that he's back. It added a nice bit of flavor to the game a couple nights ago with him getting in the end zone and all the Skittles pouring down on the field, which was really cool to see. Obviously, there won't be any of that unless Seattle fans just take over the link in Philadelphia, but I think that's going to be the game I watch. I think probably the most entertaining game will probably be maybe Saints Vikings, just like maybe from an offensive perspective, because there are a lot of defensive teams, especially in the AFC, a lot of defense going on. But I think there's going to be some points in the Saints Vikings game. But I will definitely have my eyes glued on most intently to the Seattle Philly game.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I'm sure you'll be focused on each and every play. Mm-hmm. But for me, for the game of the week, I'm going a different direction. I'm going actually the game that's going to kick the whole gosh darn playoffs off. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills and the Houston Texans as my game of the week. Yes, I picked the Buffalo Bills to win. I think the game itself is going to be high octane, high energy, one that I'll be keeping focused as much as I can, watching for sure. Again, so I'm ready for that one. I'll be cheering for the Bills, not just because I picked them, because I kind of do want them to win. But either way, I think that's going to be the game of the week. The other one that's going to be a game of the week, just in a sense of intrigue for me, is going to be the Titans and the Patriots. I know we talked a little bit earlier about the Patriots not used to be in the wild card, but we'll see if that actually has any effect on their actual team. Maybe not, probably not, but still, they're just not used to it. Schedule, changing a routine, and that somewhat does matter in regards to football players, people, creatures of habit, like I am in my own personal life. Changing my routine, I don't like it, I adapt to it, but not as quick as I should. So, in regards to football players being their own beasts and people, and creatures of habit in their own way, I think it'll be very interesting to see how the Patriots start off in the wild card game. You got to start off right. So hopefully that's the case for them. But like I said, for me, the game of the week is the Bills and the Texans, and see how that all goes down in Houston. But yeah, things are going down, and it's going to be fun for sure in that way. But either way, as we went through the game, almost an hour here of a show. Awesome. We got to talk about the Cowboys and their situation. Jason Garrett talked about Week 17, previewing the wild card, and ready for everything that is to be for that. So before we say adieu, I'll let Ross share his last thoughts if he has any, or to put himself over promote himself on his social medias.
Yeah, not much to promote. I'm on Twitter at Ross Schinberg. You can follow me there. I'm sorry we didn't get to talk about the Packers all that much today, but I'm sure you're more than happy having them in the number 2 seed, and we can skip them this week, and we can talk a lot more about them next week. Sounds good.
Oh, that sounds great. That sounds great. Because this week we had to talk about the Dallas Cowboys, a team that's not even in the playoffs, but they, as Jerry Jones does, like to control the narrative and being the number one thing to talk about, which is understandable. Now, like you said, if a decision hasn't been made and we have our show next week, and if you can make it, and we're here talking about into the divisional round, and we're supposed to talk about the Packers, supposed to talk about the teams in the game, and we're still talking about Jason Garrett, then there might be a problem. But but in general, it is what it is, and I look forward to talking about the Packers, and it's nice to have a bye. Go from last year, not even in the dance. This year, we have a bye, and to be quite honest, also, if I'm looking at it, objectively, and not just as a Packer fan and a shareholder, we needed this bye. Like, we didn't have this bye, I don't know if we would win our wild card game. So I think it was best for our team and our franchise and Aaron Rodgers to have this bye week and hopefully get our stuff together and do well next week against any of these teams. Like, who would I rather face? Yeah, I have a team I would rather face. But no matter who we face, we still have to show up because we can't be just surviving like we did against Detroit or even against Minnesota on the road. Yeah, we have a lot of wins. Yeah, we earned this number 2 seed. Awesome. Great. We did earn it. But you know what else we earned? We earned the understanding that NFL fans, let alone Packer fans as well, don't have the Packers as one of the top teams that they are predicting to go to win the Super Bowl or go to the Super Bowl, even though they have the number 2 team. I've even heard pundits and broadcasters alike and journalists saying that they are like one of the worst number 2 seeds in NFL history. I don't know about that, but I get where you're coming from. We need to get together, and we need to play like a team, and we need. Since we were playing against good teams, we saw what happened against the San Francisco 49ers this season. We faced up against a really good team, a Super Bowl caliber team. Yeah, you can say whatever you want about Garoppolo, but he's earned it. He showed it. He showed it on Sunday night of that he is a good quarterback. He might not be a great quarterback, but he's a good quarterback, and he is what is great for the San Francisco 49ers franchise. So you can take all that and stick it where the sun don't shine, honestly. And obviously I'm a Packer fan, not a 49er fan, and I'm saying that. But in saying that, the 49ers proved on Sunday night, let alone in the game when they faced us weeks ago, that they are Super Bowl bound worthy. And how we played against them and how that went down, WTF. So we got a bye week. Get stuff together. I don't know. Maybe we should send this part of the video should be clipped and sent to the Packer organization Twitter handle for them to play before they start the game. I don't know, because someone needs to tell them that you're a good team. You earned this spot, but you ain't it until you actually play for those 4 quarters, not have to survive in advance, kick teeth in, get stuff done, and actually show that you belong in the playoffs. Because if not, if you just rest on your laurels, if you just think, oh, we got Aaron, we just let Aaron do whatever he wants, and we should be just fine. Then we'll have another thing coming in next week. So how about we actually have a game plan? How about we actually play up to our own potential from our own growth we've had over this season, and then maybe, just maybe, we won't need to survive and advance in these games. It'd be nice. Because that's what worries me How we played against San Francisco worries me. I don't care if we play the Vikings or the Eagles. That might be our greatest chances to win, but still, they can get us. Eagles, they got us in Green Bay this season. That I just remembered now. They won. But I'm supposed to be more concerned if we played Seattle or New Orleans because they're a stronger team. All four of these teams we need to worry about. So that's why we need to get our stuff together. Otherwise, we will not win. Plain and simple, we won't. And we'll just be one and done. Yeah, it's great. Last year we weren't in. This year we're in. But is it worth being in when you're out right away? You had a week off. You had a bye week. And if we lose in a blowout, let alone lose in a close game, okay, maybe it'll hurt less if it's a close game. But either way, no. No thanks. Not from this Packer fan. I have more expectation and actual thought that this team is better than what they've been showing in the last 2 weeks. We had to survive. Yeah, let's repeat that word again. Survive last week against Detroit and their backup quarterback, who I don't remember his name, but he even scored a touchdown himself. Again, not knocking him, but knocking ourselves. We just survived against Detroit. And now we expect with a bye week to defeat or destroy any of these 4 teams. Hey, I like Packer fans with the confidence. I myself want them to win, obviously. But as a budding journalist, as a YouTuber, as a broadcaster in this form of media, I tell you how I really feel, and I tell you the good and the bad of the Packers. Because we do have good sides of things. We do have the reason why we're so good. Which is the reason why I'm so passionate right now about it, because I see and feel what we can be. But for some gosh darn ding dong reason, we're just not there. We're close, we're not. And we need to be there. Because if we're not there, we ain't going to be in the playoffs for long. So I guess that's our Packer talk there at the end. But I didn't even expect to do that. But the point is hopefully that we get our stuff together, we get a win, we defeat whoever we face, and we move on and probably face the 49ers and hopefully not repeat what happened in the regular season. But I just want to make that clear for Packer fans that are there, that are talking about, if we get the Eagles or if we get the Vikings, it should be a cakewalk. Do we not remember that the Vikings have had our number in the past? They're our division rivals. Also, have we forgotten the Philadelphia Eagles that beat us at Lambeau Field during the season? Oh, it's different because it's the playoffs. Oh, it's different because it's Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is good, but there still are people. They still are men playing a football game. You know, playoffs are something special, but there are Eagles players that have been in the playoffs too. Okay, so no matter who we face, we have to. Hey, Conrad, you just missed here at the end of my little quick rant on my own team. About that. So we'll watch that back later. But yeah, don't worry. Next week we'll be hammering it home and talking about the Packers and their upcoming matchup, and whoever we are to face. But with that, I bid everybody adieu. I don't know. I'm going to clip it myself to send it to them, the Packers. Anyways, welcome to follow me on Twitter at talking_Packers. You can find me on my personal handle at Army_strong_06. You can find me on the Instagram at StephenK_06. You can find me on Snapchat at StephenK_06. And as I always like to promote, the next Twitter game of Who Done It, the game for the TV show, will be happening mid-January, late January, whenever here soon. Who Done It Double Vision Season 2. I look forward to hopefully being part of that great cast. And I thank those watching live and those that will be watching archived. Welcome to subscribe to the channel. If you are new here and watching for the very first time, hello. And you're also welcome to ring the bell so you get notifications whenever I do my next video, and going from there. And above all else, as always, take care.